that I've sent to the Presidium for a few months now, I believe, and haven't gotten a response to those. I know we were in recess, but those were sent way before recess. So I would like to have an update on that also. And also another update on letters that have been sent to ministers more than the 3-week period. We haven't even gotten a response from the minister saying, hey, we need an extension. I know you had a meeting with the Prime Minister and the staff regarding how we're going to deal with meetings and letters being sent, but there's no fruit coming out of these meetings. There's nothing actually coming to these meetings, because we have these meetings, we go in the public media, but there's no results out of this. The behavior has actually gotten worse. So I would like to have an update on those, please. Thank you.
Madam Chair, when I saw the convocations come in last couple of days ago, I was quite disappointed. Reason being, Madam Chair, today we're here back after a lengthy recess, as you mentioned, and the first thing we're discussing is how we're going to travel. There's urgent public meetings, urgent central committee meetings, urgent matters taking place in the country on a whole, and we're not here even discussing that as the first order of the day. I find that quite disappointing. My colleague, MP Irian, alluded to the fact that so many questions, so many letters were sent to the Council of Ministers, little to no response, actually. And I believe that if we continue to spare the rod and spoil the child, the people of St. Martin will continue to suffer. There are pressing matters taking place with GB, you name it, and I find it quite unfortunate that we're here discussing travel today.
I was extremely happy to hear that the meeting is finally being called for GEBE. I look forward to this meeting. And not only GEBE, Madam Chair, we need to address the Telem saga. I have been receiving a lot of calls, a lot of requests for meetings, and a lot of personnel from Telem that are feeling ignored. They have been sending letters to the government, letters to the Prime Minister, addressing their issues and trying to have meetings to no success. So GB is one burning issue, but we have another burning issue on the brink, which is Telem. And I would definitely like the public to know, on behalf of United People's Party, we will be calling that meeting real soon.
The overview of meetings, questions outstanding, and reason given in the case of ministers for not yet attending the meeting will be provided to the general public, to members of parliament, as well to the general public. So I would ask the members, however, who have mentioned several urgent requests for meetings, etc., pressing matters, if they're not in this meeting, but if they can give to the Secretariat the very specific meetings that they are referring to, so that we can compare that with the list that we have and respond to the members, particularly about why those meetings, which I hope they will identify, are not held yet. But we'll get a complete overview, and everyone would see how many of pressing and other meetings are outstanding or not. With respect to letters sent by, in this case, directly to MP Irian's query, to the Presidium, yes, indeed, according to my knowledge, 2 requests or letters directed to the Presidium were received from MP Irian. They have been handled by the Presidium, and the responses to the member Irian are forthcoming. Again, to the point of MP Duran, as I mentioned again at the introduction of this meeting, these are outstanding proposals, invitations, requests for travel, and members of parliament cannot travel to any of these, regular, scheduled or not, without they being approved in a central committee, hence this meeting. So next to all other things that need to take place, this is also part of the process.
where it came to our budget?
Lack of foresight. A perfect example, most recently in the press briefing, the Prime Minister stated, for example, that increased security in town was not financially feasible because it was not budgeted for. Now, when you say something like that, a lot of people glossed over it, but the first thing that came to my mind, which I also stated during the budget debate, why wasn't it budgeted for? Because if you ask the IMA or anyone that watches the news, crime in Phillipsburg has been on the rise.
Yes, it has.
Contrary to whatever the Prime Minister says of it not being the case. And if you're now saying that, and you're throwing it off as the Simartan people always want everything, and the way he refers to Simartan people, sometimes I have my own thoughts about that, but you're saying Simartan people wants everything, but all they're asking for is safety and security, right? And you are elected to provide just that. Your Council of Ministers are there to provide just that. It starts with that. We could talk about money, but people make all the money they want. If they don't feel safe in their own country, we're failing, right? And to say, oh, yeah, there's no money for it. So what does that mean?
Don't really care.
The
So
lack,
I'm looking I'm looking at it.
yes. So when you say something like that, you're also not coming with a solution for it, right? So you're just saying, yeah, that's just what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
And to
Sweep
me, the people didn't put you there to just
Sweep it under the
point
carpet.
out the problems. People put you there to come with solutions and to fix things because you said you were going to fix them,
That's it.
right?
That's
So
it.
a lot of people could point and say, yeah, previous government this, previous government that, but you said you were going to do better.
You made exactly.
So stop comparing yourself to what was previous. Compare yourself to the level of expectations you set for
Current-
yourself
Exactly.
upon entering office. And I think a lot of times when they see themselves failing when it comes to certain things, they tend to harken back on previous. But you said you would do better. So I'm going to hold you to that standard. So come back in your answer to your question. The things that bothered me the most about the budget, the lack of foresight, which came out now, for example, with the whole security issue, the lack of realistic projects. You know, sometimes you would see a minister come and they will say they're going to do 20 projects, but you don't have the money for it. And you're not saying where the money is coming from because the money ain't coming from anywhere because you didn't create any revenues for it to come from, right? So explain me, like there was this one example, for example, with the Phillipsburg beautification project. It was under the same post as the CapEx post as the marketplace. When you look at what the marketplace is going to cost to what is going to be left over to do the beautification project, revitalization project in town, it's like $100,000. So how are you going to do all the things you're talking about
With that kind of
with
budget.
that budget? And
Yeah.
then you're saying it's going to be supplemented by a subsequent CapEx. But now the chances of you even getting the CapEx for the next year is slim to none. So what happens to that project? You know, and then when I asked the finance minister, what happens if a CapEx project is not finished with the money that was allotted for it? Oh no, the projects have to be completed with the money that was allotted for it. So I'm like, okay, but how are you allowing projects in your budget
There you
that
go.
cannot be completed? You know, and you know, it came to a climax at the end where towards the end of the budget where the finance minister said she would like her ministers to stop coming with champagne dreams on a bare budget. Okay, I understand that, but you're saying that out of one side of your mouth, but on the next side, which means the projects are unrealistic, right? But on the next side of your mouth, you're saying, hey guys, this is the best budget since sliced bread, please vote on it. So you're telling me the things that are in the budget are not realistic, but you still want me to vote for it. And if I don't vote for it, I'm being political. Make it make sense.
Yeah.
So that is my, and now you're seeing they have a budget amendment coming. We could have nipped this all in the bud by just having one proper budget to begin with. Now we got to do the same thing all over again. So that I would say the strategic thinking and the lack of synergy between the ministries, because in my estimation they're still functioning as silos, right? Where you're and for example in VSA you're trying to tackle gambling addiction and mental health, But on the Tiat side, you're giving out extra casinos so people go spend more money and end up with more gambling addiction. And, so you're spending money on one end to fix things and you're doing things on the other end to make it worse. So the net progress either goes backwards or stays the same, but yet money is spent and time is used. And that logic, I don't want to get in the mode to where it's normalized in my head because I don't see it as normal. So that in a nutshell is my main points of worry when it comes to the budget. As you know, I didn't vote for this one. I voted for it the first time, and people would be like, well, yeah, but why you voted for it the first time and not the second time? We were 6 months further. So if you're 6 months further, things change.
Exactly.
Money has been spent. You have time to reflect on how certain projects are going. And if you don't see how certain things are going to come to a completion, how am I going to vote for the same? I have more information now than I had then. So those are the main points of worry for me, concerns.
Okay.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
The Ministry of Vromi, Department of Infrastructure Management, together with the Police Department KPSM, is making changes to traffic on a section of Canagita Street and Manzanella Stake, Phillipsburg. The Canagita Street from the intersection with Percy LaBega Street to Manzanella Stake will now be a one-way street. Inbound traffic can enter Canagita Street from Percy LaBega Street and drive straight ahead or turn left into Manzanella Stake. Outbound traffic leaving town on Canagita Street must make a right turn onto Manzanella Stake. Entry further into the Canagita Street will no longer be permitted. Outbound traffic exiting Manzanella Stake onto Walter Nisbet Road can either make a right or left-hand turn. The Ministry of Vromi, Department of Infrastructure Management, and the Police Department would like to thank the public for their attention to this change. Please follow the new traffic rules and signage and drive safely.
.24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, Com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Identify a baseline of where you are with your current prison system in terms of recidivism, the rate where inmates that are coming out, committing crimes, and going back in, which I understand anecdotally is very high. There's people who come out and then within a couple of weeks are already committing crimes and back in the justice system again. So what's your plan in terms of measuring your current level of rehabilitation, the success of what's not there now, so that you can benchmark that against in the future? And I think it's also good if you explain to the community that if your program's successful, we have safer streets, you have more space in prison. So if you could help connect the dots for the people, why this is so important beyond just being more humane.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was one I actually had. We have a tripartite meeting that takes place we have one every 2 or 3 months between the chief public prosecutor and the attorney general in Curaçao, the prosecutor general, the chief of police and the minister of justice. It's called the Driehoek. in Dutch. And we actually had this discussion on, when did we have one? On Monday. And that was one of my questions where I asked, because of course I have as I indicated, I've asked the police to put together a comprehensive data set for me, looking at where are we seeing crime trends, but also how is our response? Are there more arrests than there were typically? But then if we are seeing more arrests, does it mean that there's more crime or that we're more effective in our pursuit of crime? So we're trying to put together all of those numbers, and I've been told it's going to take a little bit of time because, again, we don't have a ton of staff. But they're busy trying to populate all those numbers and then also get an idea. I've asked, but I want to see also those repeat offenders, not just, okay, the police are arresting somebody, but is it a person that you also arrested 2 weeks ago that we had to then release because we don't have space? And so that we're trying to see where we're seeing the trends in terms of behavior and what we can do about that. And I've continued to say, as a Ministry of Justice, we're trying very hard, to really work at being able to make everybody feel safe, but at the same time, we can't ignore that there's a social problem otherwise, and that I think is the difficult part, and we're really trying to look for programs where we can invest in the youth. And I've had private sector individuals reach out to me and say, Minister, does the Justice Ministry have programs where I can work with at-risk youth, or where I can, if I can finance or help? And so I'm trying. It shouldn't be my job necessarily, but we're trying as much as we can to see what can we do. And I know my chief of staff went out yesterday to speak to an organization that's doing work for kind of unemployed youth and things like that to see if we can invest into their program to create more opportunities for some of these individuals, when it comes to maybe the marine industry and things like that. So we're really trying to, I would love the prison to be empty, because I would much rather invest in every program on the road than, because it's very expensive to operate that prison. So I would much prefer using the Ministry of Justice's money to do other things than to lock people up. And I hope that over time we get to a place where we can say that half of the prison is empty. But I think that's a societal change that we all need to go through together. So hopefully slowly. And I think that we're trying to make that step right now, and also showing that there are consequences for your actions in this country, and that you can't just get away with breaking the law. And we're trying to do that very seriously in the traffic controls and the scooter controls and the things like that we're seeing. And as I said, I think last week, where we have to be done with this land of lawlessness. Oh, yeah.
If you could connect the dots for the public, because this isn't just, humanitarian treatment of the inmates is important, but how this impacts society in terms of safety.
Yeah, and I think we want to have better formed individuals come back into society and find their place, right? And then the more we invest into that reintegration and resocialization, the safer our streets become after that, or you have more contributing persons in your society that hopefully would not go back to that life of crime. So, and that's actually, one of the things that I found very powerful in that program I just mentioned from Aruba. One of the stories that they told me, the group that they work with is that 18 to 31 group. And they've given me the example where they've gotten funding for some of these young men that come out of prison, and actually the day you come out, they're at the sidewalk with a suitcase for you, and they take them abroad with the permission, of course, of the of reclassering, of probation services. And they told me a story of one young man that went to Italy and worked on a boat and went sailing and spent a year there, and now came back and is working with other youth from his neighborhood, trying to expose them to different things. And I think that's the important part very often, right? And that's, I think, the issue that is difficult for the Justice Ministry to fix, because we're the end of the line, where the train stops. And it's difficult when if you put a person back in an environment that was toxic, they'll get sick again. And we're not fumigating that environment. And that's, I think, the difficulty, where I said it becomes a social issue, it becomes an educational issue that we can't continue to ignore as a country. So I hope that my colleagues, that as a community, that we start to see the importance in that.
question I always ask in my presentations is, why is practicing food safety important? Why should you practice food safety? Because you're going to be catering to people and you do a lot of stuff. Why should you practice food safety? We're dealing with people's life. All right, you don't want nobody to get sick from eating your food. Absolutely true. Worst case scenario, it could be even worse than that, but the fact that somebody could get sick from eating your food, that's bad enough, right? So we got to handle food safely, not only for who we're cooking for, but also for ourselves. So everything that we will put out in the industry is also for us, because you're eating from the same kitchen too. All right, so health is the main reason why we have to practice food safety. Now, I just want to talk to you about a few of the symptoms. If somebody gets food poisoning, there are some symptoms that are common. People get vomiting, they get nausea, cramps in the belly, diarrhea. Those are all symptoms of food poisoning. Start with an upset stomach, and then it increases. I hope no one here in this room ever had food poisoning.
Oh, yes.
Yeah? Okay.
I ain't cook it, and it wasn't by my church.
All right. So that make me come to my question, because I like to ask questions during the presentation. Let's say you're sitting here right now in this room, and you're starting to feel these symptoms. Which one of the meals would you give the blame? Is it lunch from today, breakfast from today, dinner from yesterday, lunch from yesterday? Which one of the meals would you give the blame? Lunch today? Yeah? What you had last? Very often that's common, right? Because you were feeling good up until that point. When it comes to food poisoning, it could be anywhere between 1 and 36 hours before you start feeling sick. So if I were to ask you now, what did you have to eat 36 hours ago? We really got to think about it, huh? It wasn't my food, not from my kitchen or my church.
Well,
Right?
I was saying how I got it.
I know, right? But we never blame ourselves for food poisoning. It's always somebody else's food. But so we're going to talk about some of our cultural habits just now, because it's never our food. Yeah? Now, not everybody that gets sick fast from eating bad food. We have some high-risk customers that we talk about, and those are the elderly folks, kids, infants, preschool-age children. If you're pregnant, you're eating for two, your immune system is compromised, people with cancer going through chemo, HIV, AIDS, transplant recipients, you have your kidney transplant, anything like that. Your immune system has been compromised, it's not the same as it used to be. And if you eat bad food, you'll get sick quicker. Make sense? Yeah. And since we're cooking food for everybody, there's no second chances when it comes to food safety. If we just make one mistake, someone can get sick. Yeah? Someone can get sick. So the CDC is the Center for Disease Control in the US. They've done a lot of studies, and we always want to know, what's the reason? Why do people get sick from eating bad food? And they've highlighted 5 things. They say, 1, maybe, we didn't cook the food properly, so improper cooking temperatures. I'm going to come back to that just now. 2, poor employee health and hygiene practices. You didn't wash your hands properly. 3, improper hot and cold holding temperatures of your foods. 4 will be you buying the food from an unsafe source. And last but not least, working with contaminated, dirty equipment and utensils. Now, the way we just cook culturally, 1 is not a big problem for us. Cooking food at the right temperatures. We like everything stew. Stewed chicken, stewed goats, stewed oxtail. Everything bubbling 100 degrees, all bacteria there. Yeah? Anybody here does eat sushi? No. No? I like sushi. Medium steaks? No. Half-cooked chicken? No, well done, huh? We cook our foods well done because that's the way we cook in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Well done. Even the steak, well done.
The bone, you can chew it after.
Well done. No bacteria in the food. So 1 is not our big problem when it comes to cooking. Number 3 is our problem.
Oh, yeah.
Improper hot and cold holding temperatures. Let's go back to our culture. So when you cook that food in the morning, nice and early, where do you leave it? On the stove. How long you just leave it on the stove? More than 4 hours. Some 6, some 8, some 12. Cook 6 o'clock in the morning, leave the food for the children to come home to eat from school. We finish work 6 o'clock, come back home, eat the same food. 12 hours later. And the rule is you cannot eat food that you left at room temperature for more than 4 hours. You can't save it, you have to throw it away. And our bad eating habits over all these years just come back to haunt us. And a lot of people will say, but look, we're still here. Nothing wrong with us. See, we don't throw away food. It's expensive, huh? But we treat it so bad, we abuse the food, leave it on the stove for 12 hours. We pray over it and we're good to go. There's something that is related to food poisoning that, is also the plague of the Caribbean. Reactive arthritis comes from food poisoning, toxins in food. We poison ourselves slowly. We get arthritis. We blame the hot and cold. And nobody's thinking, hey, that comes from food poisoning too. Toxins in our food, bad eating habits, slow creepers work on us slowly, but we all start to feel those little aches and pains later on. Huh? We pray over the food. Still got a little pain in the end. Yeah? No, but this is a serious concern for us because we don't really focus on that. We focus on the common symptoms, vomiting, diarrhea, stomach, belly pain. But the toxins in the food, those are the slow creepers. See, when you hot up your food, you kill the living bacteria in the food, but heat don't kill toxins. So the toxin still makes us sick after.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
24/7 TV programming on www.stmartinmediacenter.com, SXM Daily News, PBS NewsHour, Now You Know, com programs, documentary, entertainment, sports events, Saturday children's hours, religion programs, and movies. Click on SXM TV broadcast to see your favorite programs.
Tonight, I'm warning the boards and management of Republic Bank, First Citizens Bank, Exim Bank to sort themselves out. These institutions are not functioning in the best interests of our citizens. They operate in the interest of a few. Imagine this. This really happened. This is a true story. Imagine a 1%er walks into the office of Minister Julian John. He comes in with a folder with paper, and he puts the paper on the desk. And you know what is on that paper? Puts that paper and he tells her he wants land at Invaders Bay. He said he's getting a loan from Republic Bank to buy the land. Of course, at reduced discounted prices. And guess what? He's then getting a loan from the same Republic Bank to build a building. And then the same Republic Bank will rent the building from him to allow him to repay the loan and make a profit. This is a real story. That is what has been happening in secret, behind closed doors, under the former regime. Thank God you put us into office so we can expose them for their dealings. And this story, I tell you, I am told the same thing is happening at First Business Bank. There's no transparency, no fairness, just in-house deal-making. That is why I have instructed my ministers to fill all vacancies across all ministries. Fill them properly and transparently. Police Service Commission, Teaching Service Commission. Let's fill the vacancies across the service and create sustainable jobs for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. I'm told there are about 20,000 vacancies. We're working on bringing foreign investment. We're working on restarting the refinery, which will bring more jobs. So, my friends, I'm going to use our country's money to educate our children and create sustainable jobs. I will open that UWI-DB campus. We together will open that campus so more of our children will have access to tertiary level education at affordable prices, all the way from the South Peninsula down in La Brea and Point Fortin on the southeast coast coming down. They can all converge at that DB campus and don't have to come up and take spaces at St. Augustine. Let the people up on the corridor here and in the north, they will have more spaces opening to them at St. Augustine. So let the south and central people can come down to the South DB campus. We will get it done for 10 years. Out of spite, malice, wickedness, I can't find you right words. You kept that university shut. It was about 95% complete, shut down for 10 years. I tell you, the money that we make, we'll use it for laptops. I commit again today, your children will get their laptop when school reopens.